and welcome back to this video. So this is a continuation for our built-in mathematical method for numerical data types. For this video, we are going to be working with random module. So in the previous video, we already imported the random module. So what is this random module used for? So the random module is used to generate random numbers. So I'm going to just go straight and add a print statement. And the print statement that we add is to see the outputs of what we are doing. So if I call this random.random, what will happen is that by default, this function will generate a random number from 0 to 1. So it is just going to give us any random value from 0 to 1. So each time you run it, this number is going to change. So I am going to print, and I'm going to print it again. So as you can see, it's just generating random values from 0 to 1. So it can also give us 0, but it can never give us back the value of 1. So 1 is never going to be included when you are using this. So the next random method that we are going to be looking at is random.uniform. So dot uniform. And what is it expecting for us? It is expecting us to pass in a range of values, maybe 2 to 10. So, sorry, 2 to 10. And is simply going to be generating floating points that are in between these two values. So now it's just each time we run it, it's going to generate a floating point in between these two values. So another one is randint. So now this randint is just like the uniform, and is going to also generate numbers in between that range, but this time around it's going to be generating integers, just random integers. So now you can also, inside this random method, you can add another parameter, which is like a step. So now it is going to be generating numbers that are in step 2. So it is going to be skipping two values. So in between 2 and 10, we have something like 4, 6, 8 before you have 10. Another one that we can use is randrange. So this randrange will generate numbers in between that range, let's say from 10 to 50. So it's going to give us numbers that are in between that range. But the third parameter, which is the step parameter, will skip the numbers. It will give it a step. So it will be skipping like five numbers. So if I add this step to be 5, it will be giving us the multiples of 5. So maybe 10, you have 15, you have 20, you have 25, 30, and the rest of them. So we can run this now. You have 45, 20, 10, anything that is divisible by 5. So if I add the step here, and maybe I change it to something that like 2, so I have 10, I have 28. So I hope you understand this perfectly well. And another thing we can do, or we can use, is random dot choices. So dot choices, and this time around you cannot just pass in a range, or you can, if you want to do that, you convert it to a list. So I am going to convert it to a list outside this method, and what I am going to do is that I'm going to create a list. So I'm going to call it num list, and I'm going to set it to a list of numbers that are in range. So I'm going to call the range again. So I'm going to call the range inside the list method, and I'm going to pass in 10 to 20. So if, for instance, before I pass this num list inside those choices and I print num list, what I'm going to have is that I'm going to have a list of numbers that are within the range of 10 to 20, sorry. So I'm going to just get the number, the numbers will be returned to me as a list, right? So I'm going to save this, and if I print, okay, let me comment this out first, and print this. So it's giving me a list of numbers. So whenever you see anything in Python that is enclosed in this square bracket and it is a list of items, just know that that data type is a list data type. All right, so it's the same thing as me just setting this num list to this value, right? So if you don't want to do it manually, you can just call it this list method on it, and then the range, you enter the number of the range that you are referring to. So if I uncomment this now, and here I'm going to pass in the list that I want Python to make choices of the numbers or the items it wants to print for me. So I'm going to pass in the num list here, and I'm going to save and run this again. It just chooses any number in between this list. So if I run it again, it has printed 17 and the rest of them, right? So we can even give it a list of string. So I will create another variable, string list, and I'll create a list of strings, and I'm going to pass in names of colors. So I'm going to say red, yellow, blue, green. So I'm going to make do, okay, let me add the fifth one, so, and the pink. So, and I'm going to pass in the new list I just created. So I'm going to call this list inside this place, and when I run this now, Python is randomly picking from any item on the list. So yeah, now I hope we understand all of this perfectly. So in our next video, we are going to be looking at how to use the fraction method, right? So we are generally going to be looking at how to work with fractions or the fraction module in Python. So see you in the next video.